Welcome to this episode of Unbearable. Today I was browsing through a few sites and saw an interesting article on Dune Part II. To call that up. So, uh, as you all know, Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1 came out earlier in 2021. It's probably the best film of the year. Granted, I didn't see every film and whatnot, but of all the ones I saw and the ones I heard of, it's certainly the best. Now, for those who do not know, who haven't watched it yet, it's part one of two parts, which encompass the first book, Dune. Dune's one of my favorite novels. Prior to this movie, to be honest, I wasn't sure you could even do Dune in a movie format. That had to be a TV miniseries of like at least 6 or 7 episodes minimum to get the first book in, and Villeneuve impressed me. It was about an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I'm not going to go into a whole review of it or whatever because it's long since passed. There was really one or two flaws with the entire film. It would have been a 10 out of 10. And it ended with spoiler here, Paul escaping into the desert, basically, and meeting the Fremen and enjoying them. So then we just had Dune Part 2, which is being filmed now, which this article is about. It's on Dark Horizon, which is a website I don't see people use a lot, but I happen to enjoy it. The picture here is of the Baron in his sort of, I guess, toxic tar bath or whatever that he needs to survive. What happened to him in the first film. It's entitled Dune Part 2 Dives into the Harkonnens by Garth Franklin. It's posted today on February 15th. So I'm going to just read a little bit from the article here. Having spent much of the first part setting up its universe, filmmaker Denis Villanueue has already discussed how Dune Part 2 allowed him to go deeper and weirder. I don't know if that deeper and weirder part is Garth's take or just something Villeneuve actually said, where it's not in quotes. So now this article happened to be about an article in Empire that he's reflecting on. So I'm guessing this is an opinion piece. Right? I will try to track down the Empire article if there's a link to it, just to see if there's anything interesting in there we can go over. So, in the next part of the novel, without spoiling the end, it basically involves Paul and the Fremen and Paul's rise to power. And those of you who read the book know that there are quite a few significant characters, like Fade Routha, the Baron's other nephew, and several members of the Imperial Court who are significant in events who are not in the first part. And Villeneuve seems to be saying that he deliberately did that on purpose, essentially to not flood the first part. So, for example, Villeneuve is quoted here as saying, "When you adapt, you have to make bold choices in order for the things to come to life. I think that was the best way to introduce the world to a wide audience. And the second one, I want to have more flexibility and possibly get a little bit deeper into some of these details." So he's saying is his choice to do the adaptation, which is why I think it worked, and I didn't think to do it this way, is instead of editing out parts of the story to make it simpler, he layered the story. So there are elements of the lore which is still included and will be talked about in the second part, which could have been in the first part if you did it a little more sequentially. And he elected to go deeper in on some surface elements and whatnot, and is waiting until the sequel to go deeper into some of the part, so you will understand more of the first part of his film. Now, if you haven't read the book, this to me suggests that you should go back after you watch the second part and watch the first part again, so you can see if any of your perceptions of events change. When you read the book, you kind of know what some of the details he's going to be introducing. It says it's scheduled to shoot this summer, so hopefully that means we'll see it by 2022, sometime in late 2023 or early 2024. And pre-production is already completed, which is good. That means they have a few months to do nothing, basically. I guess because they don't want to film in the winter. And the one other thing to mention here is Villeneuve got screwed basically by not getting an Oscar. He should have at least been nominated for an Oscar for this film. At the very least. Okay, Dune Part II is doing cinemas October 2023. So if they start filming this summer, post-production, that makes some sense. Okay. Hopefully I'll be watching that from Florida. And what do I expect in the second film? Do I think they can get the entirety of the novel, remainder of the novel, in the second film? Well, Villeneuve impressed me with what he did so far, so I have faith with him on that regard. You know, and yeah, I think he can do it. I'll say that much. He's done a good job in this film, and it made me believe that he can adapt this book and he's doing Messiah. The other books in the series, the sequels and prequels, I don't ever really want to see them in film because it would just not, I don't think they would work. In any case, that's this unbearable session. If you enjoyed it, hit the like. If you didn't, hit the dislike, and maybe leave a comment one way or the other. I hope the audio situation is improving. I hope my presentation is improving. And if you'd like to hear some more from me, hit the subscribe button. Thank you, and I am out of here.